What is up, guys, and welcome back to Electrix Moto. Today we have the Arctic Leopard XE Pro S, and we're going to be talking about some of the things that we have found that fit this bike and other things that we have found that do not fit this bike. The first thing I want to talk about is probably one of my favorite things to do to a bike right when I get it, which is the bar mount and the bars. We were able to get a Warp 9 bar mount for a Sur-Ron Light B or an E-Ride 2.0 to mount up to the triple clamp on the XE Pro S. So obviously once that happened, we had to get the Warp 9 bars put in and installed. What I was talking about previously on the other video is the narrowness of the bars that come factory on the XE Pro S. We have had a general consensus going about the width of these handlebars. And when you have a really narrow bar, a smaller movement makes a bigger adjustment to the front tire. Extending those bars a little bit just gives you more leverage over that front wheel. However, you add the Warp 9 bars, you get a little bit more real estate to work with, and it already feels better riding this bike, having a wider grip when I'm on the trail. Running this in the second power mode. So we're gonna go try to find some of these trails over here. And I'm gonna be honest, they're a bit gnarly. All right. Now, another thing that we figured out that does fit, although we have not committed to it yet, is we were able to get an E-Ride Pro 2.0 19-inch front wheel from KKE to mount up to these forks absolutely perfectly. So naturally, once we made that progression, we were like, well, let's move to the back and see if we can get the rear to mount up. Unfortunately, we were unable to get the rear to mount due to the chain guide. And I did not want to take the chain guide off to see if I could get that wheel to mount. However, I have been told that the 2.0 wheels will fit front and rear on this bike. The problem that I think we're gonna run into is the spacing for the rotor. If that rotor is not perfectly in line with the sprocket in front of it, then you're gonna potentially pop your chain. You're definitely gonna pop your chain, actually, and it's probably not something that you want to do, and I don't wanna risk that. So I took the KKE wheel off, but it's good to know that the front wheel from KKE from a 2.0 will fit to this bike flawlessly. So something I want to address that I messed up in the previous video when I talked about the switch on the handlebars. This on and off does not actually control your regen like I thought it did. There is a clicker on this side, your throttle side. It has an on and off switch. That is your regen. So if you want your regen on, you click it on. If you want your regen off and you just want to coast to a stop or use your brakes to stop, you turn it off. I messed up. It actually controls your brake sensor. So for all of you guys who like to do wheelies, who like to hit ruts, who want to be able to use the brake and your throttle at the same time, the nice part is all you have to do is hit this switch. The bad part is if you accidentally hit this switch with your thumb while you're riding, your brake sensor will be back connected, which is going to make things much more difficult if you're continuing to ride in the same style. So it's definitely something to keep in mind. I did make that mistake. I just wanted to clear the air. I'm sure I'm going to get comments on that, but this is for your brake sensor, not your regen. So something I want to talk about that's not necessarily will it fit or won't it fit. It's something to do with the brakes. We have only put about 80 miles on this bike, and I'm already noticing after a very short ride, pretty significant brake fade. I don't know if that's just a bad brake pad or the oil is just not very good in the line, but you are already pretty much having to squeeze this brake to the maximum point before it hits your knuckles. So it's something that you're definitely gonna have to address. I'm assuming these are just regular brake pads. They are not the copper sintered pads that you should probably run on this size of a bike, but it's something to note that we have already experienced that. You're probably going to experience it. It's just something that you're going to need to keep in mind and address as quickly as possible. So one thing that we have not done yet, but we will be doing is we will be replacing the stem lock with a Warp 9 stem lock. And the reason we're doing it is because the stem lock that comes factory in the bike is the little star nut that you have to jam down into the tube, and then you just connect your bolt to that star nut. The problem with that is I never have felt that those are very secure. I feel like it's a cheap way to make sure everything in your triple clamp stays tight. So that's something that we are going to change. Those will fit no problem whatsoever. Moving on to the pegs. I have a brand new pair of Elite Sur-On foot pegs from Warp 9, red to match the handlebars. I just tried to put them on and they are a millimeter too big. So I thought for sure, without question, that the Sur-On foot pegs or the E-Ride Pro foot pegs, which are pretty much the same exact thing, would fit this bracket, but it does not. So if you're wanting to switch your pegs, I'm not sure exactly what is going to be the solution for that yet. However, luckily you do get aluminum foot pegs with real spikes on them, so they will grip your boots, they will grip your shoes. I don't know if they did that intentionally or what the point was there, but it seems like that part is okay, although it doesn't match the bars. I'm gonna be able to live with it. All right, so before we close this thing out, what I wanna talk about real quick is just the suspension. That shock under the seat really compresses a great deal. I know this is what some would consider an upgraded KKE fork. However, it seems to be at the end of its stroke, which is less than ideal considering the bike weight and my body weight. The suspension we have really stiffened up. We had to go pretty far on the compression on the forks and the shock to get this to a comfortable ride. When you get this bike out of the box, at least for us, that ride, I mean, it was just very, very soft, too soft. Everything you hit, you were just falling into and it didn't feel very comfortable. But that doesn't mean the shocks are bad. It's just that we do not like to ride that soft of a suspension on this small of a bike. But that is what we have so far from the XE Pro S. We are going to continue to R&D and continue to try to find what works so we can help you guys find the right parts that you need for the bikes that you buy. If you have any questions, please leave them in the comments. We will get to them as soon as possible, and we'll see you guys on the next one.